Hi there, I'm Jennifer Vanderbeek from scrapsoflife.com, and today is Saturday, August 20th, 2022, making this the week 33 Create Brilliance update. Hi, how are you doing? How's your week been? Yeah? Well, mine started out amazing. I was going gangbusters Monday and Tuesday. And then and then all of a sudden, like it felt like the bottom dropped out. I woke up Wednesday fairly early for me, relatively speaking, and I started to get up and get ready for my day, and I realized that no, I wasn't quite ready to be up yet. And so I went back to bed, and the next thing I knew, it was 3 p.m. I'd slept an additional 5 hours and ended up missing my Twitch stream that day. Basically, I had negative spoons. Somehow the bank of spoons had just gotten completely kerfuffled, and so Wednesday, I had to just kinda wait for the spoons to refill. Thursday, I thought, "Okay." Thursday is usually, like, my buffer day between, whatever's going on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I've got Thursday with, like, generally nothing usually scheduled before, work and stream and work on Friday and then work on Saturday and whatever. Yeah, Thursday was a little bit better, but I was still kind of recovering. And that's just kind of the way it goes sometimes. Again, I try not to beat myself up too bad about it. And I just remind myself that stuff happens. I'm still very much, just a human being with a body that decides some days it's just like, no, body, brain, something just doesn't click. So, yeah. Friday, however, picked up. I was able to, do all the things that I needed to do. And then today, Saturday as well. No problem getting up, going to work. And then I'll see what the rest of my day brings. I did want to point out that I am wearing the sweater I've been crocheting for the last however long. Look it up so you can see it. It is a cold shoulder style sweater, so there's those gaps between the shoulder straps and the top of the sleeves. Those are intentional. And actually, it kind of came in handy today because you get something new, or in my case, you make something new, and you want to wear it right away, right? Um, I very much did, and so it was really useful that, not only is this a lightweight cotton blend, but, it's like the shoulders being open actually kind of I called it my AC, or vent. It did, it helped keep me cooler. I mean, it was no different than wearing any other shirt that I might wear to work. So, yeah, not too bad, not too bad, but it's gonna be great, as it cools down, and yeah, I'm just looking forward to wearing this more. Got a little fuzzy on it. Uh, so yeah, this one was crocheted, and I am focusing a little bit more on crocheted projects, just because that seems to be the niche that I fill, um, at the shop, and while I still do knit and love it, it doesn't hurt to kind of go back and forth. And I do feel like I get a little more instant gratification from crochet. So yeah, but sometimes it can be harder to make it look the way you want it to, you know? Um, it just, you have to, it takes a lot of awareness, I think, of the yarns or the fibers and the stitch patterns and what you're making with it. Because while this isn't as heavy as it looks like, it's actually, it's sport weight. It's knit from sport weight, so it's, a step up from fingering, but not as heavy as like a DK, which stands for double knit, I believe, or worsted weight, which is what a lot of sweaters are made out of, hand knit sweaters. Um, yeah, so it's lighter weight, but it's still solid, and the stitch pattern is nice, but it's still sturdy. So there are there are always things that you have to keep in mind. And so now I get to plan my newest projects. Speaking of, I have decided to 86 jettison, cancel, etc. Not one but two UFOs that have been on the needles. They're both knitting projects, and that's part of it, but not really. um I still love the yarn that I had picked out, and again, these were projects that I bought yarn, and then I figured out what I could do with it after the fact, which is usually the way I create things. I will say, if you're not familiar with Ravelry.com, it is a fabulous site, and they've got an advanced search feature where you can plug in the type of yarn you're using, like the weight and everything, and how much yardage you have, or pick your range, and it will show you products or projects, and all these other, filters as well. It'll show you projects that meet that criteria, and so you can kind of pick what you want to do with it. I have used that to great effect in the past. Um, However, I will say that both of the projects that I'm canceling. I don't want to say quitting, because it's not so much, oh, I give up. It's more of a, and here's the reason, that doesn't really fit my lifestyle anymore. One of them is like a mid sleeve or longer, like tunic style, or like short dress. And I realized that as much as I love the yarn and the colors and everything, it's probably not going to be comfortable for me to wear with my temperature challengedness of late. Those lovely, hormone related biological changes that happen. Yeah, I don't handle heat the way I used to. And I'm like, if I want to be able to wear this at work, yeah, or anywhere really, but especially at work, where I'm moving around and, a lot, and I can get, I warm up quicker. Yeah, I'm like, that's not going to be comfortable for me. Really not. Um, and then the other one is an even older project, which, I overcomplicated. Um, but again, that's fine. It was a learning experience. But another thing that those two projects have in common that, I no longer, that bears, keeping in mind, is that those projects were both started before. Well, let me put it this way. Those projects were both things that I found that were not necessarily written for me. And when I say, they weren't written for me, I don't mean like, ooh, somebody wrote this pattern specially for me. No. I mean, they were not written for my body size and shape. They were not written for my bust circumference. And that was the case for a lot of patterns for a long time. But in the last year and a half, 2 years, maybe even, there has been a much more concerted effort among designers to size patterns more inclusively, which means that I don't have to monkey around with patterns so much to make sure that they're going to fit me. Back when I got married and I made the cardigan that I wore with my wedding dress, um, because I didn't want bare arms and the whole thing. Um, I had to once again knit something that was not written for my size, and I was testing it in, kind of a throwaway, not really throwaway, but a cheaper yarn than it called for, to make sure that my sizing changes worked. This is something I have had to do for a lot of projects and patterns. If they're meant to fit, like a garment, then yeah, if it's for me, then I am having to, do the math, or, make adjustments. And some of it is because I have yarn that I want to use for a project and I'm making it work, which you can do. Substitutions are cool. Creativity, creative problem solving, all good things. But a lot of the other time it was because I was having to, work to make something to fit me because there were not a lot of things. And the ones that were there, I didn't like, you know? But nowadays, it's a lot easier to find patterns for people my size and larger, even. And so that's a nice, fun change since those two projects were each cast on. I think it's been, I know one has been over 4 years since I had to like restart it. And the other, yeah, it goes back like 6 years maybe. Yeah, so we're talking a good gap of time that they've just been sitting there, working, being worked on periodically or thought about. They were both in the UFO roundup that I did. It would have been at the beginning of 2019, I think, when I was doing. It might have been during the beginning of Stashcraft, but more than likely it was 2021 when I did the big roundup of UFOs, of just like the knit and crochet projects that were unfinished and sitting around and waiting. Um, yeah, so I mean they've been waiting for a while. And rather than just keep the yarn waiting until I got around to making something that I wasn't as excited about anymore, I'd much rather rip out the progress that was done, reclaim the yarn, and start something fresh. So, that being said, um yeah, that was like, and it's very freeing. It's very freeing to realize that you don't have to, just because you started down one path doesn't mean that you can't change your mind later. Yes, you put in time and effort into that project, but there's this whole concept called the sunk cost fallacy, that if just because we've put time in, that if we stop what we're doing, it's wasted. No, we learn things along the way. I absolutely learned things working on those projects. Some of it was what not to do, but yeah. So it's, the time isn't wasted. I still enjoyed it while I was working on it. I just, got distracted by other projects that I wanted to do more. And so I'd much rather take a look at the yarn that I have and say, what can I use this for now that I will like so much better? So there's that. And that, let's see. Oh, I also created a sample project for the shop. Can't show it right now because it's unfinished. It's finished. It's off the hook. It's finished. The crochet part is finished, but I need to block it. So yeah, that still has to be done. But also it's a store sample, so they get first dibs on sharing it. But it's fun. It's a basket, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that up on display and being able to share it with you and on my social media and stuff. Um, let's see. So yeah, I finished the sweater. I think I ended up finishing the sweater Thursday night. Yeah, including weaving in all the ends, and it didn't need blocking because, well, it's fairly sturdy on its own. It doesn't really need shaping, and it's a cotton blend, so blocking works a little differently on like cotton yarns and stuff. And so I just didn't think it really needed it. It'll be one of those where when I wash it, then I will shape it and dry it flat and all that good stuff. Just to avoid it getting all wonky. But it's also cotton yarn, so it may, gravity may pull it down a little bit and kind of do its thing. So I don't know, we'll see. Um, but yeah, and then the sweater, or the basket project, I finished last night while we watched the end of the most recent Stranger Things series or season. And then I picked up another project that had been sitting languishing in a corner for so long, and one that I am still excited to work with, and I am still excited for it. So it's not like I'm completely just hitting, a race on all the old projects. It's just this, there's one that I really do want to finish because I think it'll be fun to wear and not to mention fun to do. And unlike the others, I'm creating it from scratch. I am making it up as I go along. So that's a fun challenge in and of itself. But yeah, so I get to make it what it is, and you know, what it will be. So I'm really I was happy to pick that up and get some more rounds done on it. Um and so I look forward to showing you that in the future. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know where I have that one stashed right this minute. So that brings me to the writing efforts. I have been working on the book stuff. I did get some work done earlier in the week on book 4. I've reached a point where I need to write a new scene, which I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. I was like, I feel like I need to put something here, but then it's like, okay, I need to make sure it checks certain boxes and it's not just filler. I could it if I'm going to write it, then it needs to serve a purpose. It can't just be filler, or maybe because I guess filler is okay, but even the filler needs to serve a purpose. Is it needed right there? So anyway, I've been kind of dithering over that, um, but I'll get to it. But what I realized with this book is it is harder to motivate myself, and I may have talked about this before. But it's harder to motivate myself at times to work on this book for a variety of reasons. And part of it is it's just this has been one of the harder ones to write. Not that it's a hard story to get into, just that I went through so many iterations and versions that I think it's still a jumble in my head at times. And I'm afraid, I'm afraid it's not going to make sense. Wow, I just realized that. I'm afraid that it's not going to make sense. Even though I've done my best to keep it mapped out and, do my due diligence, I don't huh, interesting thing. I'll have to unpack that a little bit later. Anyway, um that being said, no. So I realized that in addition to all that was that I needed to incentivize it. I needed to do something to get my brain to get into gear, um, and if not be excited to work on the second draft manuscript, um, which I usually don't even have to do a second draft. This is the first story of the series, book 4, that has needed an actual second draft where I am changing so much that I'm going to need to call it a second draft and then and then again print it out and read it all through just to again make sure that it makes sense and that I've put everything where it goes. Obviously it will go to beta readers beforehand, but yeah. Yeah. There will be checks and balances and so forth, but yeah. But I needed some way to incentivize it to my brain. And so that's where this week's um thoughts on brilliance comes from. And that is brilliance is rewarding. Now, it sounds like brilliance is its own reward, and no, it's not. Well, not always. I guess sometimes it could be. Like we could feel really good about ourselves or about, that brilliant thought we just had or something that we came up with or accomplished. Absolutely. Those are entirely valid. What I'm talking about, however, is more the concept that sometimes we need to reward ourselves or tempt ourselves with rewards in order to find our brilliance. Yeah. And when it comes to rewards, sometimes they're physical, sometimes they're not. Um, a lot of, you know, I know in the a lot of rewards is like, oh, well, what can I do to reward myself? And so it's like, treat yourself to XYZ. So we're talking money, or maybe it's food, it's like, if you just like take yourself out to a nice restaurant or something like that. But I was trying to think something, things different. that didn't involve a lot of money, or they weren't food related or anything like that. Um, Sometimes they can just be time related. We make time for something that we keep putting off that we really want to do and we would enjoy. Whether it's spending, and it could be spending an afternoon with no responsibilities, just, or taking a drive. I mean, I realize that costs gas, and gas money is what it is right now, but sometimes it's just, or maybe, walking down to the park and just sitting under a tree with a book or something if the weather's nice, or what kind of things that can you do to reward yourself, and not only as that carrot that gets you motivated to finish and meet your goals, like I feel the need to do right now, just to kind of get me over this hump. um I took a workshop from someone one time, and they said there's always a Wednesday to the project. That hump day idea, getting over the hump. There's always a Wednesday, whether it's going to fall somewhere in the course of that project, start to finish. There's going to be a hump that you have to get over, and that is the Wednesday. That is that midpoint. That is that thing you just have to trudge over, and then finally you're on that downhill slope. So this is my Wednesday for so what am I looking forward to, for Friday, or kind of thing. So it doesn't rewards don't have to be things that we incentivize ourselves to get to that brilliance, that moment of brilliance, that thing, oh, accomplishment done, yes. Um, but sometimes we need to give ourselves those rewards when that brilliance happens spontaneously, or even if it was not an ordeal to get there. If you're working on a project and you're really excited about it, great. Reward yourself, celebrate at the end. Celebrate when you hit a milestone, when you hit a benchmark. When you get to a certain point where you think, wow, I've I've done a good chunk here. It's like, yeah, it's not finished yet, but wow, this is an important moment. Don't be afraid to celebrate those things. Reward yourself. And again, they don't have to be food rewards if you're, trying to watch your eating habits. They don't have to be monetary. Sometimes it might just be, making plans to spend time with a friend that you maybe think that you haven't made time to see. Sometimes it could be asking your partner for time together. And yeah, they say time is money, but time is more than that. Time is so much more precious than all of that. So don't be afraid to ask for those rewards. Don't be afraid to set those rewards up for yourself. Um, just because we're worth it. And that's the thing. Sometimes we need to be reminded that we are worth it, that we're worth not just the effort that we're going to create these things, to make this whatever we're doing, to create the world that we want to live in, to create the home we want to live in, to you know whatever it is. But we're worth all of that effort and more. And the people around us that we, if we're doing things that we want to share with other people, which to me is really important. I don't know why I record these videos every week. Yes, it's accountability for myself, but it's also so that I can share this process with you, because I can do whatever I want in my little corner, but to me, it's so much more important to me to share about it, to spread that. It's like why I blogged for all of those years, and I don't know if I'll get back to that or not. That may be something to be reclaimed later on. Yeah, it's like I love sharing it. You don't have to share. You don't have to share what you're doing for it to be valid and valuable. Let me put it that way. You can be doing this just for yourself. It's okay. You have permission to do that. But for me, it's important to share it. It's part of my process and always has been. It's always been part of the goal to share what I do with other people because that makes me happy. It makes me happy to help other people um in the ways that I can. And sometimes that's just like making something cute and fun that they can enjoy or writing a story that they can relax with for a couple of hours, you know? That's all it really has to be sometimes. Anyway, thank you so much for hanging out with me once again. Another week down. We are almost to the end of August. Summer is nearing its end. Doesn't feel like it outside. We had a brief cool snap, but it wasn't even a cold snap really. It was a cool front that was stuck for a little while, but I absolutely enjoyed it. I'm waiting for another one of those to come. Um but thank you so much for sitting down with me again. I appreciate it more than I can say, but I'll keep trying. And I wish you the very best of weeks ahead. If you're going through the muck, I'm so sorry. If you're celebrating, I'd love to celebrate with you. Um, please let me know. And yeah, in the meantime, until next we meet, week, same bat time, same bat channel. I wish you the very best. Take care of yourself. Have the time and inclination and effort and bandwidth. Take care of those around you that you love. And never ever be afraid to show the world you're brilliant. Until next week. Bye.